This is PWF Empire Live.
It's the best thing going today.
The best insight and analysis on the hottest topics in the world of wrestling happens here. From storylines and news to rumors and reviews, we've got the action covered from bell to bell.
Believe that.
Presented by PWFempire.com with your hosts,
Steven,
Evan Medina, and J-Dub.
do I have everybody's attention now?
The match starts now.
PWF Empire is live following Monday Night Raw, the go-home show for Hell in a Cell, and that's why we are here tonight to preview that show, which will be taking place this Sunday only on the WWE Network, which you could also get on pay-per-view. It was kind of funny they said that on Monday Night Raw, only on the WWE Network, but don't get it on pay-per-view. How the hell could we get it on pay-per-view if it's only on the WWE Network? Interesting question, but I digress. Thank you guys for tuning in to PWF Empire Live tonight. Jay here along with Evan. Now, Monday Night Raw, pretty interesting show tonight. A lot of big things happened on this show. What was the biggest thing that happened on this show for you? And I hope that you answer this question correctly.
I hope it's the New Day that's the correct answer. I mean, it really wasn't the biggest thing, but I still like the New Day. So the opening was pretty damn cool, let's be honest.
As long as you didn't say Eric Rowan, I'm fine.
Well, I mean, that was my favorite, but just to give you a hard time, it was the best part of the show. I know you jumped out that window. Are you feeling okay now from that? I mean, I didn't think you'd make the show.
My ankle is a little sprained, but I think I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big jump, so I give you a lot of props for still showing up here. You know, that was a quick recovery, man.
Yes, I'm a professional.
I can tell.
Bam. The professional.
Yeah.
Not just a professional, the professional. New shirt here, new haircut, looking all, swagged out tonight for PWF Empire Live. Yeah. Okay, so this was a night of the legends. I believe that's what they branded it as on Monday Night Raw. We had a few legends to come back, help out with some of the build to Hell in a Cell, and I guess we'll talk about those appearances before we get into the actual card for the show. We had Stone Cold coming back. He kicked off the show, and damn, you want to talk about great moments. Like, they did their best to kind of go back on promoting Stone Cold appearing on the actual show, but the very first thing that we hear when Monday Night Raw kicks off was the glass shattering. And when I tell you I almost went through the damn roof in excitement, that was a great moment seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin on Monday Night Raw. This is the first time he's been on Raw in 4 years? I think the last time was for the Tough Enough finale, and
yeah, Big Andy.
That was that.
But yeah, it is amazing to have Stone Cold on Raw. He's my favorite wrestler of all time, so clearly it was a hell of a way to start the show for me. But I gotta admit, that Shawn Michaels segment where he just completely owned the crap out of Seth Rollins, that might have actually been the best part of the night because he owned him so well. But yes,
I
that
didn't
opening...
get to see that one because I was having a little bit of issues. So what actually happened between Seth Rollins and Shawn Michaels?
Well, basically, Shawn Michaels said, or Seth Rollins said, that he is like the current version of Shawn Michaels. He's version 2 or whatever. And then Shawn Michaels said something along the lines of, well, you're sitting here and you're completely satisfied with being version 2 of me. But excuse me, but when I was in my career, I was never aspiring to be anybody. I was never trying to be the second version of anyone, whereas you are satisfied with being second best. And then Rollins tried to get his music to play. They wouldn't play it, and then he said, see, that's what happens when you're second best. And then he said, let's play my music. And then they played his music, and he just, strutted his stuff around the ring. So it was fucking awesome, to say the least. HBK.
Damn, I have to go back and watch that. Shawn Michaels, the real MVP.
Yes.
Seth Rollins in his place.
Finally, somebody speaking the truth. And then later on, saying that, acting as if Stephanie and Triple H were like parents taking care of the child. The same reference that we make to Seth Rollins. I was like, Shawn,
I saw that.
Either A, Shawn watches PWF Empire Live, or B, he's just a freaking genius. I'm going to go with B, but hey, I'd like to think that A is still possible as well.
Well, the thing is, he did come out there. I saw that part where he said something like, for years they've creative has been telling him to do this and do that, and then all the shit goes out of the window. Maybe that's what it was. Like, they told him to go out there and, you know, play dumb. Like, don't be observant. Don't think with common sense. And he was like, no, I'll take a pass on that one. So Shawn Michaels in tune with what's going on. We also had Ric Flair appear on the show to deliver a little bit of help to Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. Apparently Roman Reigns is his guy, you know? What did you think about Ric Flair appearing on Raw?
I liked Ric Flair's appearance. The Roman Reigns like sit down segment with Wyatt was a little strange, I guess. I don't really know what to take away from that, but Ric Flair appearing was nice. I mean, having so many big names on the show, it no question drives up the interest, but, you know, like we said before, it takes all these legends on the show for the show to actually be more interesting, more entertaining. It's like the current guys who are there are like, yeah, all right, cool. But when you get people from the past to come back, it's obviously really exciting, and that's always been a thing, don't get me wrong, but when the guys who are currently on the show are uninteresting as they are right now, not untalented, just uninteresting characters, then it makes those legends' appearances that much more necessary to make the show interesting, which is crazy, but this was a good show for that reason.
There is an exception to that rule, though, and I want to go ahead and kick this preview of Hell in a Cell off with that. But before I get into all of that, I have to let you guys know that you are more than welcome to join in on the conversation, whether that be, well, it can't be really on air, but on the chat on PWF Empire, the YouTube page, whether you do so on Twitter with the hashtag PWF Empire, wherever you want to join in on the conversation, you're more than welcome to do so. Let us know your predictions for Hell in a Cell, what you think is going to happen at the show, how the match is going to go, whether it's going to go this way, that way. Just go ahead and let us know, because that's what we're about to do on the show right now. And that exception to the situation that you were referring to with the older stars and the new guys on the roster, New Day versus the Dudley Boyz. This match will take place this Sunday at Hell in a Cell, and the tag team titles will be on the line. One thing that I can say about New Day, they rock. And that new t-shirt, man, have you seen that new t-shirt that they have on WWE Shop?
I have.
That is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like, it's how can I describe? It's a blind unicorn with a pink mohawk with Chuck Taylors on, walking on a rainbow, while Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier ride the unicorn. That's the weirdest thing that has ever exited my mouth. But
it is also the greatest, because it's the new day, and now that everyone needs that damn shirt, because
that shirt is on pre-order, and I'm letting you guys know right now. I just said the previous New Day shirt, I wear that shirt way too much. This new one is going to be the single greatest purchase that I have ever made in my entire life.
Yes, sir.
So, Hell in a Cell now. The New Day, they're going to be taking on the Dudley Boyz. What's your assessment of the way that this feud between these two guys has built up towards Hell in a Cell?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel kind of up and down with it. I mean, we keep getting the 6-man tags and whatnot, which is all right, but the biggest takeaway for me is the fact that the New Day have actually beaten them multiple times, which I think is really necessary for this feud. You know, the New Day getting the victories, you know, making it more and more frustrating for the Dudleys over the course of time. So no question that has been a really good piece to this puzzle, so to speak. But I don't know, it's been kind of same old most of the time. It really hasn't differed all that much, and I would rather get more talking between the two teams and different things like that. You know, you see New Day come out and cut their promo, but then they have a match. You know, like, instead of that, why not have the Dudleys come out and give them microphones too? You know, I think it could have been a little more.
Yeah, that's one thing that WWE has not done to the extent that I believe they should, because if TNA has done nothing at all in their entire existence, creating the Bully Ray character and having Bubba Ray transform from a tag team wrestler to a legit superstar, a legit main eventer. I did not know that that guy had it in him. Like, Bully Ray, to me, one of the greatest things, one of the only greatest things that TNA has done. And I hate the fact that WWE has not picked up off of that with the Dudley Boyz being back in WWE, especially to give them like a little fresh twist.
Yeah, I mean, we get the same guys cutting promos most weeks, but yet we get backstage segments with the Dudleys, if anything. And it's like, why don't we switch that up once in a while? Give another guy a backstage segment who usually gets the promo, and put the Dudleys and New Day in the ring for a promo. I think that would have been nicer. And like, why do tag team championship matches always have to be built up based upon matches only? It's never based upon promos and a personal rivalry. I mean, I love the whole save the tables thing and everything. That like has the makings of adding more elements to that feud, but then you take it away by always having a match to follow that, instead of having the Dudleys just come out and just talk right back at them. So I mean, again, tonight's match here wasn't too bad, and I was glad the New Day keep getting wins to build that frustration. So they're doing the biggest thing they need to do with this, for sure. But if the New Day don't walk out of Hell in a Cell with the belt still, I think that it's still too soon for the Dudleys to win the titles. I really do.
Is there a time where it would be the right time for the New Day to lose the titles? I don't think so. I can't see it right now. It's
possibly
unfathomable.
Not. Possibly not, but I would think Survivor Series could be like the big payoff for the Dudleys, or even wait till TLC to have them in a tables match, which makes the most sense. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me if they keep having the New Day retain over them. That this feud can continue. The only way you're going to be able to keep it interesting, though, is by having different ways of building it besides just a bunch of six-man tags and stuff like that. They need to come up with new ways of doing things, because you can have feuds continue for months upon months if you continue to keep it interesting. Like, they had Rollins and Ambrose time after time, but it stayed interesting. It didn't matter that they wrestled 3 or 4 times in a row. I'm talking a couple years ago, not the random ass title matches from a few months back.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. Like, it stayed interesting because they kept doing different things with it and giving you different match types and things like that. So they can do that with this tag title feud, and I don't really mind if they go hot potato. If the Dudleys win it, New Day wins it back, Dudleys win it back. I really don't care if they do that here either, because it will keep the feud interesting too. So they can do a lot with it, but I would like to see it continue for the remainder of the year. It honestly should.
Yeah, I think it has to, because we have that big TLC pay-per-view coming up at the end of the year in December, and the logical progression of this story, it has to be a tables match, because the way that I'm looking at things, the one way that New Day has gotten their comeuppance is from Xavier Woods being put through tables, and we saw him be put through another table on Raw. Like, that seems to be the only way that the Dudleys can get the upper hand in this feud, which I have enjoyed. But yeah, as far as this Sunday, though, you say the New Day is walking away with the titles, or do we start the hot potato here?
Yeah, see, I don't know. I think either thing could happen. I'm going to go with the New Day finding a way to retain, though. Especially because, they won the match on Raw, but at the end of it, they put Xavier through the table. So I think that they're going to get the win here. It's a tough one.
We have Kyler in the chat right now going, imagine if that tag match became a ladder match instead, or worse. Please don't. Because, I'm talking about TLC. We did have TLCS last year, so
oh yes, the stairs.
That could definitely be that's like the bottom of the barrel down there.
The Deadly Stairs match. It's gonna come back this year. Eric Rowan versus the World.
Yeah, it was deadly, not for the competitors, but for everybody who had to watch it.
Oh God, that is still one of the worst matches I've seen in a long time.
But as far as this Sunday goes with the New Day and Dudleys, I'm going to be a mark and say New Day. They have to retain. New Day for champions forever. From this point, we are going to move on to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Funny little story for you guys about the backstage workings of PWF Empire Live. So I make the images that you see at the beginning of the show. I always make those featuring the biggest match on the show. So I go looking for a Seth Rollins transparent, background pic, and I burst out laughing because I had forgotten for a moment that he's not going to main event this show. No way in hell he's going to main event this show. Like, I'm sitting, why the fuck did I almost put as the featured image for this episode of PWF Empire Live, Seth Rollins versus Kane? Are you kidding me? But here's the match that we do have to discuss. And funny enough, I did post on Twitter today because they ran this storyline that Corporate Kane is suspended, so he wasn't going to be on Raw. And I posted this tweet. I was like, I wonder what's going to happen, from this point. And I was thinking that Demon Kane was going to be on the show, but he wasn't on the show at all. But I think we've gotten enough of this feud between Kane and Seth Rollins to formulate an opinion on it. So, Evan, what is that opinion?
Oh, man. What is my opinion on any of Seth Rollins' feuds, man? I mean, come on. Honestly, there's been some entertaining elements to this because Kane has done a masterful job of playing the two roles. It's been fun in terms of Kane. But in terms of the feud overall, it just made me continue to, see the lack of legitimacy that comes with Seth Rollins. There is none. And I mean none. And if you think that this episode of Raw here tonight, with him beating Ryback in a match and then walking out of a main event, it has anything to do with...
That was a pretty big thing that happened on the show, too.
Seth
Rollins actually won a match.
Oh, yeah. I acted like it was breaking news because, I mean, he's like 1-17 in his last 18 matches. So, I mean, for him to win is very improbable here on Raw. And cleanly... A clean victory for Seth Rollins, mind you. But, again, it's like they had Kane go over him every single week. And I understand that Kane is, a demon and is supposed to have, powers and be above and whatever. But Seth Rollins is supposed to be an architect who can outsmart anybody in any situation, right? That's how he's the champion. So, for example, when he ends up going through that table a couple weeks back, there's no reason why he shouldn't have been able to put Kane through the table after Kane got hit with a 3D, which has been claimed to be a finisher that nobody kicks out of. I'm just saying, doesn't make any fucking sense. It really doesn't. If they're going to sell the 3D, and I know that Team 3D or the Dudleys have nothing to do with Rollins versus Kane necessarily, that night they 3D'd Kane. Doesn't matter. They 3D'd him. And no one kicks out of that, right? But yet, 5 seconds later, Kane is chokeslamming Rollins through a table. And it just doesn't add up. And that was as Demon Kane, mind you, the whole thing. He didn't have to go and transform in the ambulance or anything like that. But, so there's been some entertaining elements here, but Seth Rollins is just so hard to take seriously that it makes any feud he's in just not be all that interesting to me. And honestly, them in a match at Hell in a Cell is not that exciting either. I mean, really, I'm not like going, oh, I can't wait to see what happens. I'm pretty sure we're going to get the same old. Seth Rollins walks away with the championship. I cannot see Kane winning the title. I will be surprised. The only way I see Kane winning the title is if it's going to lead to a Sheamus cash-in. That's all I can see in terms of Kane winning. But for me, I'm going to go with Rollins retaining.
See, here's the thing. I don't give a rat's ass about this match. I don't care, not one iota of a fuck, not even a smidgen of a fuck. I really don't care about this. But I was talking to Charlie, former co-host of PWF Empire Live, and he made me see the light. There's nothing redeemable about this storyline at all. I guess, I'll agree with you in a sense that Kane was entertaining, but it's so hard to accept this as a WWE World Heavyweight Championship feud. But, as far as these two characters at the top tier of WWE, wrestling for the top championship in the promotion, nothing redeemable about it at all. I honestly, if I wasn't doing PWF Empire Live, I probably wouldn't watch this match. That's how much I don't care.
I'm with you on that. Honestly, it's not the kind of match I am on at Hell in a Cell. I am way more amped for the actual main event of Lesnar and Taker than I would ever be for this. I mean, honestly, as a regular feud, if it was somewhere in the middle of the card, I think I'd be a lot less. I'd feel a lot less hostile toward it. I'd be like, oh, whatever. I mean, it's hokey, but it's a mid-card feud, whatever. But this is for the belt, and it just, again, how can you take Seth Rollins seriously in any of this? And yeah, Kane has been entertaining, but as a storyline, as a feud, it's just not good.
Yeah, and the higher you get up the card, the higher the stakes are, and I think the more pressure it is on you to perform in a certain way, and that's the cost of being the boss. You want to call yourself the man, then damn it, you have to meet up to a certain standard, and this feud is just not cutting it at all. Now, I did say that there's nothing redeemable about this matchup. I possibly have seen a ray of light. What if Sheamus comes out to the ring, cashes in Money in the Bank, but then loses? That's the only positive thing that could possibly happen from Seth Rollins versus Kane, because I don't give a damn about Seth Rollins as champion. I wouldn't care much for Kane as champion. The only positive thing that can happen is, I don't give a fuck about Sheamus either, or Mr. Mohawk, because that's all he is. The only thing that could possibly happen here that is good, Sheamus cashes in and then loses. At least we kill, one terrible.
So double negative cancels out and leads to the positive.
Yep. There you go.
Very well formulated, Jay. Very well formulated.
Mr. Mohawk is no longer the Money in the Bank, so we don't have to live in terror with the threat of Sheamus being WWE World Heavyweight Champion over our heads. So.
Oh, it's gonna happen though. Oh, it's gonna happen. You just wait. You just wait, fella. You just wait,
there's
fella.
no opening for Sheamus as world champion.
Oh, it's alright. We still got another 8 months, man. Oh, it's okay. We'll find a way.
It's not okay. It's not okay at all.
Oh, sorry. WWE creative humor was just in my ear.
Okay, so I'm going with Seth Rollins for the win here. I don't see Kane winning.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Yep. Same.
So apparently there's going to be another match that takes place at Hell in a Cell. We were talking about this before the show, and we had a hard time coming up with the people who are going to be in the match. Who are these people? Dolph.
Oh God.
Ziggler.
I had a hard time remembering before the show. Now you put me on the spot during the show. Oh, Dolph Ziggler, Neville. Woo! Who's that third guy? Cesaro. The guy who should be in a actual feud and in an actual match with some importance to it. Cesaro, that guy. And then the other team's got what? Rusev and Barrett and Sheamus. So your Money in the Bank winner, the same guy we were just talking about, who may potentially be main eventing shows in the very near future, is in a 6-man tag match that had a finish on Raw and is literally just being regurgitated on the pay-per-view. And I'm not really that upset about that because, it can be an alright match, but it's I don't know, it feels pretty cheap, It's let's just throw the same match we just had. And, it's kind of throwing 3 rivalries together, even though, honestly, Barrett was off TV for 2 months, so I don't really know who he's feuding with here. He kind of just came back and helped out his boy Sheamus. And honestly, the idea of Barrett and Sheamus as a tag team, I got no problem with that. But
I've been thinking about that for years.
Exactly. That was a 2011 fantasy, Sheamus and Barrett as a team. I remember doing that in WWE 12, man. That's been a team that I've wanted to see for a long time. But it's now that it's actually here, both characters have been watered down to the point where you're just yeah, whatever. But
funny thing, speaking of Wade Barrett on Monday Night Raw, King Barrett, I believe Byron Saxton, he was the one who asked the question because it was Barrett and Neville in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, and Byron Saxton goes, imagine how different Wade Barrett's career would have been if instead of him winning King of the Ring, Neville would have won. And I'm sitting there what the fuck would have been the difference? He would have won a match?
So he would not have gotten buried as bad? I mean, he already kind of was buried bad before that anyway with the whole IC title feud they had at WrestleMania. How can we forget how horrible Wade Barrett was made to look during that entire thing? And then he wins King of the Ring. We're just supposed to forget that he was a joke a month before that. It's
and
this
then he
is
turned into a joke of not even a month after because he was in a feud with R-Truth.
Yeah, he literally lost the match to R-Truth with the cape still on. I mean, he didn't even get to take his freaking crown and cape off. He already lost to R-Truth. R-Truth's just like, you know what? I'm just going to hit you with the lie detector already. And it's like, it's over. It's just horrible. But for my prediction for this match, just because there's really nothing else to say about this, to be honest, I'm just going to go ahead and say the faces win. The heels won on the go-home Raw. So I think the faces will win.
Steven there.
Yeah, even Steven booking. Isn't it beautiful? Neville will win with the red arrow, and all will be well. Yay.
Well, it depends on what your definition of well is, because I look at this match, and it should be branded as creative wasteland, because I look at all of these talented guys, and nothing.
It's sad because, again, it's not...
What's going on.
I feel like some people take it when we're critical of matches like this. They think that we're like crapping on the talents. It's like, no, we are crapping on the way that they are being used. These guys are all talented and all good. Like Barrett isn't a joke. He shouldn't be a joke. He's honestly been one of my favorites since he came up through Nexus years ago. But he's been a joke, and that's the problem. That's why it's not okay. These guys are all good and all have their own potential. We just took 15 to 20 minutes on the last episode of PWF Empire Live to talk about Cesaro because that's how damn good he is. So we know all these guys have their own talent. Dolph Ziggler, same thing. Neville too. Absolutely, these are all really talented guys, but it's just the way they're being used that's just terrible. But, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and say the babyfaces get the win.
See, I guess I'll say babyfaces too, but I couldn't... Because I don't even remember who the hell won the match on Raw. I'm going to take your word for it. The heels won, so the babyfaces win. There you go.
Sheamus hit a brogue or something, and then Barrett...
Now I remember.
Yeah. Just figured I'd jog your memory there.
Thank you.
Wouldn't want to forget about that.
Very important. We have Brandon in the chat saying, Jay, seriously, I thought you didn't support losers. Why the Cesaro shirt? See, here's the thing. What had happened was I ordered this shirt a while ago, and it got lost at the post office, and I just went and picked it up last week. So this is kind of like, I should have worn it a few weeks ago, back when, before Cesaro got knocked out by the Big Show, so, yeah. But, let's go ahead and move on to, I was going to say move on to something less depressing, but Charlotte versus Nikki Bella with Charlotte's Divas Championship on the line. Apparently, Charlotte is the Divas Champion.
Wow, that missile dropkick loss was something, huh? And then this week, she beat Brie Mode, so she's back on top of the mountain as far as I'm concerned.
Is she?
Oh, yeah. Easily. And Paige is still not sure what the hell she's doing. It's a great scenario, guys. It's a great scenario. And then, on top of that, you have Team Bella against Team Bad in the beginning. Sasha Banks' team loses. Yeah, let's not even have her in the ring for half the match. Awesome. Good job
They're
featuring...
getting her over.
Aren't they doing a great job of featuring Sasha? I mean, wow. Amazing.
I love how they tell me how good she is, but then they don't give me an opportunity to see it on Raw.
Yeah, well, you don't get to witness how good she is. We're just going to tell you about it.
I look at it like this now. That's great advertisement for the WWE Network. They're like, we're going to put her here and tell you how good she is on NXT, so you have to go and watch it when you hear us talk about how good she is. It's like, you don't let us see it on the fucking TVs, so...
No.
I got to pay that $10 to see it.
Yeah, but what's the point of actually showing you how good somebody is on a show? I mean, that doesn't make any sense, man. Come on. You're not supposed to... Raw is supposed to be 3 hours of... You don't know what's going on. It's a mystery, man. That's the point. You're not supposed to understand, okay? But in all seriousness, I really don't care who wins this Divas Championship match. I don't. And I don't think there's any real reason to care. For me, I'm going to go ahead and say, oh, God. It's actually kind of tough for me because I feel like Paige could interfere and cost Charlotte the title. I can see that coming. as a potential thing. Nikki wins it back, but I'm going to go ahead and say Charlotte probably retains, but I think it could go either way, really. I'm going to go with Charlotte, though.
I hope Nikki wins because she seems to be one of the only divas that WWE gives a damn about. Like, I look at Charlotte, and she's been so marginalized since she won the championship. And that's another one of those situations. Like, they talk about how athletic she is, but we don't really see it on Monday Night Raw. And she doesn't have a character, really, on the show. I think it was Steven who talked about how she seems so much more legit down in the developmental territory than she does on the main stage where millions of people watch every week. She doesn't have any legitimacy. She doesn't have a character. All she has is a championship and a daddy. That's it.
So sad, but so true.
It's very clear that the only reason why they had her win the championship was to get Ric Flair on the screen crying and get a moment. And
just to see an old man cry those crocodile tears, man.
Yeah, I called this out a few weeks ago. I said this was just their way of making the changing of the guard seem a lot more important than it actually was. And I would feel less offended by it if you actually kept up with it after she won the damn championship, because it comes to a certain point where, hey, if you continue to at least attempt to fool us that this is something important, then maybe at some point the effort that you put into fooling us, maybe that kind of makes it important a little bit. It's a weird way of thinking, but it's a whole hell of a lot more than we've got here, where she's a 2-bit player in everything else that's going on in the Divas division. Like, as much of an issue as we had with the We Want Sasha, the approach that WWE had with that, there's more story there than there is with the champion. There's more story with Natalya and Paige than there is with the champion.
Yeah, there's actual build-up with that. I feel like with Charlotte and Nikki, there hasn't even been real build-up, has there? I mean, she faces Brie tonight. Okay. What does that do? She beats Brie Bella. All right. And, like, you know, I mean, and Nikki, yes, won her match too, but it wasn't even against her in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, okay, so they both won matches. Yeah? And... you know, like, where's the story? There's no promo. There's no, you know, and it could be just a one-on-one promo. It doesn't have to be with, you know, Becky and all the rest of them. But, you know, speaking of Becky, the same could be said about her. What the hell happened to her up in the main WWE roster? She is, as Paige put, irrelevant. And they've made her irrelevant. And it's sad because she was one of the most interesting talents that NXT had to offer as well. It's just so crazy to think that all these people were so irrelevant on the main roster. You know, it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. It's a Divas revolution that back in July, when it all began, we sat here and said, we're hopeful, but we fucking have been here before. We know how this shit goes. We know where this is going, and we don't like the path that it usually goes down. We're going to remain hopeful. I'll give you your
credit there. You said that. I was like, this is awesome. This is wonderful. Things have to be different this time. And
no. I knew it. I had that bad feeling, but I was hanging on to that little bit of hope, because you can't completely diss it. You know, you can't just say, when something good like that happens, you can't just be like, no way. You never know. But with the way that things have been the last number of years, you have to have more doubt than... the glass is half empty in that, you know what I mean? Like, it really is. Before, even when it starts, you know, as exciting as it was, I could not, you know, count the eggs before they've hatched, so to speak, you know?
There was one moment that I really liked on the show tonight, though, and it was Charlotte attempting to build a character for herself, which was completely no-sold by the announce team. They were talking about something else, and they just ignored what the hell she was doing. But there was one point in the match where Charlotte threw Brie out of the ring, and she, like, sat on the ropes, and she was telling Nikki, like, bring your ass in the ring right now. Like, I don't want to wait until Sunday. I want to do this in this very second. And I was like, look at Charlotte showing a bit of attitude, and nothing. It wasn't even acknowledged.
Again, if the commentary team doesn't give a damn, then why would we? You know, I mean, it's like, I'm not saying the commentary team defines what matters and what doesn't, but they are supposed to be the filter between what you see and what you know what I mean, and where you are here. You know, you're hearing them and seeing the action. So what you hear from them and what you see is supposed to be what matters. And if they're not acknowledging it, then it's already not that important. Even though, honestly, it's just showing that a moment like that proves that Charlotte is trying. She's trying to be as good as we know she really is, but they're just literally not allowing it. They're you know, yanking that chain back, so to speak. They're saying, hey, don't you dare be actually good.
Don't you dare try to get yourself over.
Yeah, that doesn't work. That shit ain't working unless we are the ones doing it for you.
Okay, next up we are going to discuss Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. They will be competing in a Hell in a Cell match, one of two that will be taking place this Sunday at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And you kind of touched on this earlier, your thoughts on the sit-down, the heart-to-heart, the come-to-Jesus meeting with Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. You want to revisit that a little bit?
Yeah, it was a little strange to me. I didn't know what to really think of it. I mean, I'm not, like, mad about it or like, oh, this was crap. It felt strange to me. It was almost like Roman was inviting Bray into his house and, you know, saying, hey, let's have a cup of coffee and talk about this thing before we do this.
Didn't Bray Wyatt invite him to a tea party a few months ago?
That's true.
Was just returning the favor.
That's true. Yeah, it was a little late on the invitation. The RSVP was a little behind, but I mean, you know, and it was like, yeah, so how about those distorted pictures of my daughter that you had on your...
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, that was a little strange, man. I think we definitely need to have another tea meeting. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it was all right. I don't really know what to think of it. I'm still kind of just like scratching my head over it. I mean, it certainly does beat what happened last week. Even though I was on Roman Reigns' side against the crowd, I still thought the freaking promo was not very good. Don't get me wrong. So it certainly was a step up from last week. That's one good thing about it. And, you know, at least we did get some physicality out of him. And in the main event, I think Roman Reigns did shine somewhat, especially when he does that jump over the top.
Yes, and he actually got a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. It was directly after that. So.
Exactly. So, I mean, what he was doing in the main event was good. Again, I think he carries himself really well now in matches, and he does have a limited in-ring, you know, skill set. But that's okay. He's not the kind of character who should be doing 100 moves. I mean, Roman Reigns is a big powerhouse. No other big powerhouse does a shit ton of moves, really. Do they? I mean, Brock Lesnar might be an exception, but he's not a powerhouse. He's a god. That guy is something different. He is a beast on another level. He is above everybody else on the show. Yes. He defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So that guy can do whatever the hell he wants. He can even go back and try that freaking... crazy moonsault that he tried back at WrestleMania 19 again if he wants to. He can try it.
Shooting star?
The shooting star press, yes. Oh, yes. He can try that again and almost break his neck and kill himself if he wants. He could do whatever. He wouldn't even die from it. He could hurt himself. He'd get up, you know, shake it off, and F5 everybody.
The Grim Reaper would come and like dust him off. Like
he'd be like, dude, you're okay. You got a long time.
You got this.
And then he'd grab the Grim Reaper, F5 him, and, you know, it'd be just crazy. Anyway, anyway, to get back to Roman Reigns and the actual conversation here, I think that this match here at Hell in a Cell can be good, and it's going to be inside the cell, correct?
Yep.
All right, so that adds a good amount of care for me. I care more about this because it's in the cell. I do. It makes it feel like it's a personal rivalry. Now, obviously, there's supposed to be no fuckery, so I sure hope there isn't with the Wyatt family. I don't care if they, like, come by or whatever, but just it shouldn't have anything to do with...
You want a nice seat to watch the action, you know?
Yeah, just don't fuck with the finish, you know? The finish should be decisive in terms of one guy. This should be the culmination of this feud, absolutely. And I think that ultimately Roman Reigns will walk away with the final victory. I think both guys can use the win here, but it makes the most sense for the babyface Roman Reigns to come out with the win, so I'm going to go with Roman. Going
back to the little come to Jesus meeting with Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt, I understand the purpose of it. They were, I guess Roman Reigns is trying to play psychological warfare with Bray Wyatt, trying to force him to admit that he was fearful of Roman Reigns. And I like the badassery that he displayed there. And, you know, a character like Bray Wyatt that's so cerebral, and Roman Reigns, a character that's like so... not trying to play psychological warfare. That was cute. That was cute. But yeah, it was definitely a step up from last week. And this match, you don't know this because you weren't here for Hell in a Cell last year or the year before that or the year before that, but I really have a great disdain for this pay-per-view because I hate the shit where you have to force feuds into Hell in a Cell matches. Luckily,
absolutely,
I believe that this year it works a little bit. It's still forced on more so in Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns, but it's not so forced to the point where I am disgusted by it. It's like if I accept what the idea of Hell in a Cell is these days in WWE, I can buy it.
Well, honestly, because what are the Hell in a Cell matches? It's Kane and Rollins, right? And then
I don't even think that's in a Hell in a Cell.
That's not in the Hell in a Cell? Okay. So then that's weird to me. But actually, there's no reason for it to be, right? I mean, let's be honest. It's not really the best feud. But Wyatt and Reigns being in the cell, I'm actually really okay with it because they've been feuding since, June? I mean, this is like a culmination match for the feud, I would assume. It should be, like I said. And I think it makes sense because then you have no Wyatts interfering, no Ambrose or, if Orton's going to be returning in Hell in a Cell, I don't know what the story is with any of that. Or, no one else is going to interfere. That's supposed to be the story. Now, obviously, like I said, there shouldn't be fuckery because that's the point of having the Hell in a Cell match here. But this should be like the finishing of a feud that has been personal and been stretched out. And yeah, the build-up's been very up and down. There's been some really good stuff and some really not so good stuff. But I'd say that it makes some sense there. And then obviously with Taker and Lesnar, those two in the cell, it makes sense mainly because it's Undertaker, but also because of the fact that this is a culmination of a feud. And I think that, so like you said, those two matches definitely work inside the cell this year.
I'm going with Roman Reigns for the win here because I think that, I said this last week on the show, they're going to start angling that guy towards the main event scene and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and we could have possibly gotten a seed planted on Monday Night Raw with the Shield reunion that was not on Raw because we had the setup. Shawn Michaels is basically goading Seth Rollins into being the partner for Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They were going to be taking on Eric Rowan, Braun Strowman, and Bray Wyatt in the main event of Monday Night Raw. And Seth Rollins, he accepts the challenge, but then he ends up running away from the match. I think he was feigning an injury or something like that. He has other things to be worried about.
I've never seen Rollins do that. That's crazy.
People were going crazy for this reunion that wasn't on Twitter, and I didn't even post anything at all about the Shield reunion. Yeah, because I am a huge fan of the friggin' Shield, but it's just I felt that this was a situation where WWE was trying to butter me up. They're we've been doing some BS, so we're gonna give this to you just so you're a little happy. And I was sitting there all stubborn, nope, you're not gonna get me. Then at the moment where Bray, it was the Wyatt family in a stare down in the middle of the ring with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, I was still there you're not gonna get me. And then Seth Rollins was backed away, but then when he walked up and he engaged in the face-off, and the trio was back together, I was like, damn it, you got me. Oh my God, this is awesome. The Shield. But,
how can you not love it? I mean, that was a cool moment, no question. Although, yes. I was in the exact same boat as you, though. I knew, where this is going. It's whatever. They're just doing this to get me all happy and excited and get me to stay around for the main event and not switch over to the football game, you know how it goes.
But that could have been a seed that's planted. Maybe Roman Reigns is going to have something to say about that next week after he beats Bray Wyatt, because he's going to win that match.
I mean, it certainly does make some sense. He beats Wyatt. There's a reason for him to go after Rollins a little bit now. And, I mean, it's really not that bad because, like I said, Roman Reigns has kind of gradually been built up to the right spot at this point. And, honestly, with the way Seth Rollins has been booked as champion, I mean, hell, it wouldn't be that, like a Dolph Ziggler could go after the belt and you wouldn't feel like, oh, that makes no, like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense in terms of him going after the title, but in terms of him being able to beat Seth Rollins, it certainly does. Almost anybody could beat Seth Rollins from what we've been told. So if Roman Reigns goes after Rollins, it certainly isn't like oh, this is a big step up for Roman. No, it really isn't at all. And I mean, if he's beating Bray Wyatt at Hell in a Cell, it's a good victory to get him to that spot. So, I mean, I got no problem with that. None at all.
Okay, on from championship matches that could be taking place, we are actually going to talk about one now that will definitely take place this Sunday at Hell in a Cell. It will be Kevin Owens defending his Intercontinental Championship versus Ryback. Weird thing about this feud is that I can barely remember any moments where these two guys were in the same vicinity of each other. We finally did get a moment like that after it was Kevin Owens' match with Mark Henry on Monday Night Raw. Mark Henry, you know, he was doing some work. I was sitting there like, damn, are we actually going to see Ryback and Kevin Owens mix it up a little bit before this pay-per-view? And Mark Henry made sure of it on Raw. So good on you, Mark.
Yeah, it could have been a lot less interesting than it was. A lot less interesting. It could have just been Owens beating him in 5 seconds like you probably would have expected. So, I mean, at least, you know, it was dragged out a little bit. And that pop-up powerbomb was damn impressive to finish the match,
yes,
too.
It was.
And then to have Ryback come out.
We got a nice line from Mark Henry, too. What was the line that he said?
I've been a bully for 19 years.
I've been a bully for 19 years.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. And then he just headbutts him in the corner. That was pretty cool. Again,
Mark Henry is the best non-mic worker of all time.
That's what he does, man. That's what he does. But yeah, oh yeah, I always got something. Anyway, Kevin Owens, no question, versus Ryback. This is the kind of feud for me that, like I said before it started, I'm excited about this because it was the best thing that Ryback had happened to him while he was IC champion. And it was honestly the kind of feud that for me, yeah, it's a pretty good matchup. It's something different, something we aren't used to, haven't seen. Could really be good for both guys. Ryback plays a good babyface role. Owens is a fantastic heel, as we know. But, you know, the feud hasn't really gotten any build. There's no traction to it. There's no steam to this. I mean, at least Ryback came out after Owens' match and gave him a little power bomb as well. That was nice, but really for the most part, there hasn't been a whole ton of build here, and it's been pretty generic. You know, like, oh, I'll be on commentary for a match and then try to distract my opponent. And then last week they both just had matches, won the matches, and that was it. That was it. They didn't even interact at all. And then this week, you know, you have this. So I mean, it's been very minimal and very tiny. It's like they almost have to remind me every time that they come out that there's actually an IC title match between the two, happening, because there's really not been a whole lot. It's like it's a feud where it's actually decent. Their match at Night of Champions was decent, and I think their match here at Hell in a Cell will probably be pretty good too. But there's no substance to the feud, so there's no reason to really get into it that much. So that's really a shame to me. I'm gonna say Owens retains the title. I wouldn't mind if they played hot potato with it a little bit, but I don't see Ryback beating Kevin Owens. I just don't.
Yeah, I can't see that either.
I got Owens winning.
My thoughts on this feud, I actually have a question. Where the hell is Kevin Owens' mic time? That's what I want to know. Because you want to talk about a feud and no traction, things like that. Like, Kevin Owens could sell the hell out of that feud on the mic. But we're in situations where you gave Roman Reigns the mic for what seemed like 45 goddamn minutes last week, and Kevin Owens, nothing? Are you kidding me? Like, where's this guy's mic time at?
Yeah, like these guys are polar opposites on the mic too. Like Owens up here, Reigns trying to get up a little.
Yeah, he's working, but I mean, go with the proven commodity in Kevin Owens. Like that's one thing that's really been lacking from this feud for me. that he really hasn't gotten much mic time. Then you also take into account the way in which he won the Intercontinental Championship from Ryback. He did it in a shady way, and it's like the sense of urgency was gone. Like, Ryback should feel some kind of fire about that. Like, you cheated me out of my title. I want that damn championship back. But it's like every week that progresses past that moment, the impact means less and less. And now we're at a point right now where we're asking where's the traction on the storyline that it legitimately had something a few weeks ago, but going into the next match, it doesn't really have anything. But that doesn't speak to the quality of the match, and they could have a really nice show here with, of course, Kevin Owens walking away with victory. And we're going to move to the next championship match that we're going to be seeing at Night of Champions, at Hell in a Cell. This is one thing that if you don't know about me already, you will get to know. I'm terrible when it comes to pay-per-view names. I'm all over the damn place. But yeah, this championship match, we don't know who the challenger is going to be yet because the John Cena US Open Challenge will be taking place at Hell in a Cell. I really, really like this. I like that they saved it for the pay-per-view. I remember when they were building up a match with Rusev and John Cena for the United States Championship, and every week before that, they were still going on with the U.S. Open Challenge, and it's like they would promote the Rusev and Cena match and say, oh, if John Cena retains the championship tonight, this match will take place, and I'm looking like, of course he's going to retain the fucking championship. But I like the fact that they're doing this here where it's like the U.S. Open Challenge is the pay-per-view match. So I'll give you a few points on that one, WWE.
Absolutely, yeah, I like this too. I'm looking forward to who accepts the challenge. I'm really, again, we talked about it on last week's show as to some of the potential people. I'm not really sure who's going to end up taking this challenge ultimately, but I don't know. It's hard to say. Really is.
Yeah, this person could possibly be the next U.S. champion too.
Absolutely, and it'd be nice to see him drop the belt at the pay-per-view here and to somebody hopefully who is a good guy to take it from him. It's an actual big win for that guy's career. That would be great. I mean, if Cena retains, and you have to wonder, okay, so when's that time off happening? But either way, I am looking forward to this match that much more because there is some mystery to it. I know we made a joke about the whole mystery thing before, but this actually does have a little bit of like, I wonder who that's going to be. So for that reason, I am happy, and I think that the match can be very good. Obviously, depends on who ends up taking the challenge. I don't really know. I really don't know. I mean, we've talked about Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro and all these different guys. They're all in matches. I don't know if somebody's going to pull double duty or we're going to see like a Dean Ambrose get involved because I guess he's not on the card. Orton is gone somewhere else.
Whatever's going on with him.
I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I would definitely hope Orton's not going to take Cena's challenge. We don't need to see those two ever again. Never mind for the U.S. title. That would just be freaking weird. But Dean Ambrose could be a potential challenger. I wouldn't mind, especially if like Ambrose ended up turning heel. I also wouldn't mind if Ambrose was the one who actually took out Orton and that we could start a program with those two in that way because they already kind of... Because then, you can have Ambrose turn heel here, and that can really lead to that unlocking of the potential that he needs, and that would be good. And if he wins the U.S. belt, that even adds more. And I know his last U.S. title run, he didn't defend the damn belt and whatever, but this is a different time, hopefully, for that. And it might not be any more open challenge with the U.S. title, but at least he could be, a heel champion. He could turn heel by beating Cena in a dirty fashion. I mean, that could be a good way for him to start to really show what he can do. I think it'd be nice to see because Ambrose is literally the definition of mid-card hell. We have no idea what the hell we're doing with you. Yeah, whatever. Here's a match for you. He's bland now as a babyface. Even though he works as a face, I really think he does. He's actually proven that he's a very good babyface because he's always been known as a great heel, but he proved that he can work as a face very well. Here's the problem. There's no relevancy. There's no storylines for him. He's been kind of lost in the shuffle with this whole Roman Reigns thing. So let's just go ahead and throw him into a heel scenario. Let's give him some direction, damn it. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that whole thing. But I will say this much. I'd like to see it, to say the very, very least. Yeah, maybe we'll see him. I don't know. Again, the cool part about this is we can sit here and chat for however long talking about who could potentially take the challenge from John Cena. So I guess if I was to predict, I'll say that whoever his challenger is will take the title from him. But again, John Cena winning is never a shock, so could really go either way.
We have Dalton in the chat right now. If you guys don't know, Dalton is a co-host for the Raw post-show review, which takes place usually every Monday night here on pwfempire.com. The reason why it's not this week is because we do have a pay-per-view on the horizon. Every Monday before the pay-per-view, we do the preview shows. But Dalton, along with his co-hosts, DJ Kaz and Lucas, they'll be back next week on pwfempire.com. So make sure you guys tune in to their Raw post-show review. And speaking of those guys, they will be joining us this week, 2 days from now, on pwfempire.com. Our next Anarchy special. And as you guys can see, it's Let's the Games Begin. This honestly is one of the most fun things that I've ever done on YouTube in my many years of being on here. And the premise of this whole setup is that we have the team from PWF Empire Live, Evan and Steven, taking on Dalton and DJ from the pwfempire.com Raw post show, and we are going to be engaging in a game of Family Feud. You guys remember that survey that was posted on pwfempire.com a few weeks ago? The weird-ass questions, and I said that this was a completely meaningless survey. Turns out it wasn't so meaningless after all. You know, that's going to be the basis of this game of Family Feud, and we got some great questions, as you guys could see if you did the survey. And by the way, those of you who did, thank you so much for your participation. You are going to be a big reason why this turns out to be a success, and I hope that it actually does turn out to be a success. So you guys be right here Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for PWF Empire Anarchy. Let the games begin. What do we have next for Hell in a Cell? I was about to say Night of Champions again. I think we're done with the championship matches here. But we do move on at this point to the main event. This is the Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar in a Hell in a Cell match. We got both guys on Monday Night Raw this week, which is a change of pace. And they almost got to the point where they were in a brawl, but Brock Lesnar, he wasn't having it tonight. He was like, damn it, you know what? I'm going to let you enjoy your peace and tranquility for these next 6 days, because at Hell in a Cell, your ass is mine. Like, you don't want none of this right now. You need to enjoy the rest of the time that you have, because at Hell in a Cell, it's all over. They are building this up to be the ending of this epic rivalry. We have Undertaker, who cheated Brock Lesnar out of a win. We have Brock Lesnar, who ended the streak. A lot has happened between these two guys, and this is the culmination of it all taking place in a Hell in a Cell this Sunday.
Most definitely, and I'm glad, like I said back in August after their match at SummerSlam, you know, I'm really glad that this is culminating before WrestleMania 32. I didn't think there was any reason why this needed to wait all the way until WrestleMania again to have the third match. I think it's good that they're having it at Hell in a Cell. It certainly makes this pay-per-view feel more important, and it certainly makes you think that the rivalry actually needs to finish up sooner because of the fact that the way that Undertaker won that match at SummerSlam. It would make no sense for Brock Lesnar, again, you know, to have the guy who lost the match in terms of losing the actual match, even though Undertaker technically tapped out, whatever. Lesnar lost at SummerSlam as far as we are concerned here. So why wouldn't he want his rematch much faster and much sooner? Just like how Undertaker should have wanted his rematch a lot sooner than like a year and 3 months later. It just doesn't make all that much sense, or a year and whatever. So I like that it's happening much faster. It makes it much easier of a narrative to follow, and I'm glad. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I'm glad it's inside Hell in a Cell, like I said before. It culminates a feud. That's what it should be doing. For the prediction, I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar. And, I mean, it's hard to not go with Brock Lesnar. I can see Taker winning this.
Brock Lesnar.
He is Brock Lesnar, the V-Beast, the Grim Reaper Destroyer himself. But I can see Undertaker winning this match, too. Hell in a Cell is Undertaker's playground, so to speak, the devil's playground, they say. And he is the devil himself, as far as I would say. He's not the devil's favorite demon, though. That's the Demon Kane. Let us not be mistaken. Anyway, I can see Taker winning this match, absolutely. So it could go either way, but I'm going to go with Brock. And if they don't have Brock win, it still makes me question everything with Brock. It does, because it's just weird to have him decisively beat Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. You know, again, basically beat him at SummerSlam, and then now, you know, lose to him at Hell in a Cell. It's like, now what for Brock? A guy that you built up as the biggest commodity that you have, the world champion for months last year, the guy who ended the streak, you know, basically an unstoppable force, a guy who destroyed John Cena to win that championship last year. I mean, now what?
I was there live for that match. Man,
that was something.
One of the most memorable moments.
It is something.
It was so funny, like going off on like a tangent. Charlie and I were actually in attendance watching that match, and it was so funny because we were sitting there and we were like, "Of course, John Cena is coming back!" Like, because you know the script of a John Cena match, he gets his ass kicked, then he gets his little swing of momentum, and you know, he rides that wave to the end. But we're sitting there, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's coming back. And all of a sudden, bam, Brock Lesnar hits that F5 and pins him. Like, well, shit, that was that. But
yeah,
great moment.
And ever since then, you've had this, like, Brock Lesnar matches just have a different feel and a different pace to them. There's something different about when Brock Lesnar is wrestling as opposed to anybody else. So for Lesnar to lose this match, it's going to be weird. So I gotta go with Brock. I have to go with Brock. I went with him at SummerSlam. There's no way I'm not picking Brock Lesnar to win this match. I think he does. And then the next match, he may not have another match till at least Royal Rumble, if not WrestleMania, and that's where, you know, somebody can go over him. Like we talked about, potential of like a Roman Reigns beating him, or somebody who, you know, could really, you know, benefit off of that victory over Brock Lesnar at a bigger stage. And the way that you keep Lesnar, you know, you keep that credibility up is to have him win. It just flat out, there's no other way about it. So I got Brock winning this match. I think it'll be a fun main event. I'm really not worried about the quality, especially because of what we got at SummerSlam. WrestleMania 30. Going, you know, after that match and going into SummerSlam, I was worried about the quality because WrestleMania 30 was not a very good match between those two. However, their SummerSlam match was excellent. Excellent storytelling, amazing moment with the two laughing at each other like that. That's still one of my favorite moments in a match from recent memory. And then on top of that, having, you know, just a great in-ring match as well. Undertaker looking more healthy, etc. So with this match coming up at Hell in a Cell, I really think these two can put on another good one. And it's inside the cell, so they can use that to their advantage, and it can be have a different feel to it in that way. So I think this could be a really good one, and I'm going to go with Brock getting the victory.
Yeah, I have to go with Brock here. No other way about it. I echo the sentiments that you expressed in pretty much every single way. You invested a lot in this guy. Now it's been time to follow through with it, but I digress. Yeah, you gotta have Brock Lesnar win here, and I'm hoping that this is gonna be a good match. I can't say that I lack faith in either of these guys to rise to the occasion and live up to the moment, and I think that just everything that's happened between those two guys, it's going to do a great deal to carry them through to the point where you're on the edge of your seat watching this match, because you really don't know what way it's going to go. I'm hoping that Brock Lesnar gets the victory here, but who knows? This is WWE. Anything can happen. Now, that's it for our individual match preview. Any thoughts on the show as a whole and what you're expecting? Or like comments on the build up altogether?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's weird because we talk about this match and it's harder to find more things to discuss about this because there really isn't much build-up in between. I'm still disappointed in the fact that, like, for example, you didn't have Heyman or Lesnar or something with them coming out each week and calling out Undertaker because it lacked it lost some of that momentum, some of that steam. If Lesnar was that pissed off about losing, you'd think there would have been something said or done every single week. So I think they lack some consistency there. And, I would have liked to have seen the two interact a little more in the build-up. I don't think it's asking too much to have these guys both be on the same show at the same time. They don't have to fight every week. In fact, I was completely fine with the fact that they didn't touch tonight. They didn't have to. They didn't have to at all. It was still something. It was still a huge step up over the other stuff because they were actually around each other. They actually had a face-to-face a little bit. There was actually a promo going on. So, yeah, although I'm looking forward to the main event, it still has me, like, kind of whatever on it. But for the card overall, I think there's some good ones here. Like we talked about, the Intercontinental Championship. Probably be a good match. Build-up lacked. I think all these matches could probably be pretty good. I mean, really, quality-wise, I think a lot of these matches have a strong chance at being at least decent, if not pretty damn good. The build-up, though, really did lack in several different ways. And, we discussed that throughout this show and throughout the previous few episodes of this show because it's been, inconsistent. The Divas Revolution really lacking in so many ways. The main
Revolution.
Event... Or shit-olution, whatever we want to call it. But... and then of course you have the main event, which is impossible to take seriously. You have a feud with like Wyatt and Reigns that has had some ups and some downs mixed in there. Some confusing shit with guys like Ziggler and Rusev and all them now just getting thrown into a 6-man tag. I mean, again, some of these matches could be really, really solid, but the build-up has been all over the place and honestly hasn't been all that good. This episode of Raw as a go-home show did all right. It was better than some of the other Raws, no question in my mind. It had some good moments. Maybe that had something to do with the fact that you had some actual, legends or big names on the show. But, it definitely was a step up in quality over some of the other ones. So the build-up, despite being all over the place, I still think that Hell in a Cell 2015 could actually be a pretty solid show. I mean, you have Wyatt and Reigns, which I'm actually really looking forward to. That's one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most, to be honest. And then, of course, the main event. Even that world title match, as much as I may not like what we're getting, I think the match could actually be pretty good. I think Kane can pull out a good match here with Seth Rollins. Again, quality-wise, good stuff. What they tell us for a story, the fuckery at the end, all that shit might leave me more pissed off, or as Jay would say, at the highest level of pisstivity by the end of the night. So I guess we'll see what happens, but despite some weird shit in the mix for the build, I gotta say that the pay-per-view card isn't too bad.
This could be the most terrible card of all time, but if you give me Sheamus cashing in Money in the Bank and losing, I'll accept it. Bygones be bygones. I got to take something away from this positive, but the build up. I really don't have to talk about it because if you guys have heard me and over these last few weeks of PWF Empire Live, you'll know that I'm not really satisfied with what's going on. Like I hope that the way in which I spoke tonight was articulate and logical and spoke with reasoning and things like that, because it's difficult sometimes when you see things on TV that you don't like. And like I realize that WWE, I want to be entertained by WWE, but at the very same time, with my position on PWF Empire Live, I have to make sure you guys are entertained by what we do on the show. So hopefully I have done my job in accurately assessing what it is that I see, even if it is from a negative perspective, but still with thoughts and logic and sense and things like that. But not really satisfied with the product overall at this point. Thank the Lord for the New Day. I've been enjoying the hell out of them. And we're going to see how this show turns out. And hopefully you guys will be with us on Sunday night following Hell in a Cell, because we will be right here on pwfempire.com and youtube.com/pwfempire giving our review of the show. But in between time, Wednesday, October 21st, 2015, 9 p.m. Eastern on pwfempire.com. Make sure you guys tune into PWF Empire Anarchy. Let the games begin. We are going all out this week with the shows, and yeah, hopefully you guys are on board, and we see you back here for those shows. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time, we'll catch you later. Peace.